Trae Young got his first head coach fired, now he's working on the next. The Athletic dropped a story that is a terrible look for Trae. Nate McMillan asked Trae if he could play against the Nuggets because of a minor injury. Trae said, maybe, but I don't want to go to shoot-around practice. The coach said, that's not okay. If you don't want to practice, you can come off the bench. So Trae said, fine, I'm not playing. Then he just didn't show up to the game, which is highly unusual. Stars always at least show up in street clothes to support their players. They don't abandon the team because they're mad at their coach. The hottest takes say things like, Trae is a spoiled brat. That's why most of the players don't like him. He could be great if he learned how to not be selfish. And I get that. I mean, he got his coach fired, then he doesn't want to go to practice, won't come off the bench, so he dishes his teammates. That sounds selfish, but a case can be made. This is a huge misunderstanding. Trae Young is actually not the problem. But first, today's sponsor, you know what it is. It is Prize Picks. I am so glad that Prize Picks is a sponsor because it's making watching games this year so much more fun. And there's nothing better than my favorite promotion of theirs, the Free Square. This week it is for Justin Herbert, quarterback of the Chargers, on Sunday. But good news, we can pair him with any NBA play out there. So I want to show you what my pick is. I am going tonight Anthony Davis, more than 27.5 points. Look, I know what a lot of you are thinking. He's been on this run. Is he going to cool down now? No, I see no reason why against the Cavaliers at home, so I'm going with AD. And of course, I'm going to combine that with the Justin Herbert Free Square. And you know what that means? I will 3x my money if I win. So just download the app. You can play in a lot of states across the country, including California, Texas, Florida. If you want to play with me, use promo code AMHOOPS. Your first deposit, you get a 100% deposit match bonus up to $100. Thanks again to Prize Picks. His first locker room issue was with John Collins. During a film session in 2021, Collins confronted Trae, saying he didn't like how many shots Trae took. He wanted him to share the ball. Trae disagreed, and the next game he showed it. Trae scored 7 points with 3 assists. If you know anything about Trae Young's game, that is a red flag. During the game, he looked disinterested, played off the ball, was not even involved in plays. At one point, Collins put his arm around Trae, and Trae just walked away. But you could argue Trae was correct. He was by far the most lethal person on that roster. Him not having the ball is bad for the offense. He was trying to send a message, and they lost that game. Also, John Collins was in a contract year. Him asking for more shots could be selfish. So, I guess we can let that one slide. The next public conflict was with his first coach, Lloyd Pierce. Pierce took the tough love approach from day one. Horrible decision. The worst example was in 2021, before the Olympics, Trae was left off the team. When the coach was asked if he was surprised, he said, no, you don't go just because you're good. You go because you've earned the right. You have to have the right mindset. Dude, that is like a wild thing for a coach to say about his best player. I mean, normally, even if they disagree, they'll fake it for the media. And making that team was really important to Trae.
Obviously, I was kind of hurt that I didn't make the 44 players.
Then during a coaches meeting, Pierce said that he hated how players baited fouls by launching their bodies. Kinda weird when that's what your best player's known for. When he was finally fired, reports said the beef with Trae was the #1 reason why. But a lot of other players hated Lloyd Pierce too. They thought he didn't listen and that he was stunting Cam Reddish's growth. So maybe Trae has just been in a bad situation this entire time. It's a big coincidence. Plenty of people think Nate McMillan's actually a bad coach. When they fired Lloyd Pierce, McMillan took over as the interim coach and then took them to the conference finals. What are they supposed to do? Fire him? No, they had to give him a big extension, which looks like a mistake. But this year they made a big trade to help Trae. They got DeJounte Murray. They also got a good draft pick, it looks like, with AJ Griffin. Right now the team is in a playoff spot. They are top 10 in offense and defense, which is elite, but something is just not right. You would think a team with those stats would have a better record. Right now, they're barely above 500. And when you look deeper, you see that Trae is still top 10 in usage rate, 3rd in the entire league in shot attempt. He is still dominating that offense, but he is much less efficient. 290th in the league in three-point percentage at 31%, 330th in field goals at 41%. Career lows for Trae Young. So no wonder the coach and the star player are mad at each other. Coach wants him to share the ball more. Trae's not having a good year individually, but when a reporter confronted Trae about it, he got a little testy.
But what's public was that you not at the game, so why weren't you there?
Man, it sound like you was at me, bro.
But you can see the perception though, Trae. You are a leader of this team, and when you're not there to support your guys.
When you're an outside guy like you are, and you don't understand in a private matter, in a private situation, you should probably stay on the outside. And like I said, it's unfortunate that everybody has to understand.
Oh, so the unfortunate thing is that it went public. It's not as bad leadership. Reminds me of the Draymond Green Jordan Poole punch video. But the worst part of that whole Athletic article had nothing to do with the head coach and Trae. It was about everybody else in that organization. The Hawks have held multiple team meetings early this season to resolve various conflicts. The latest sensitive situation that has caused many people within the Hawks to question Young's leadership approach. That is a horrible sign for Trae's future in Atlanta. Think about how upset he must be reading that. He said it's unfortunate the coach thing went public. Now anonymous people in the organization are worried about his leadership. Then that Athletic reporter who wrote the original story doubled down, saying if you ask Trae's teammates, they're not on his side.
I think that players, if they were picking sides, to be honest with you, I think they'd be on Nate's side. Trae and the way that he, handles his power, I guess I'll say, he's got a lot of juice in that franchise. And I think a lot of people internally are trying to get the word out that he probably has a little too much juice.
Yes, the old school approach does not work anymore. Guys who come up through AAU feel like their own personal brand is equal to the team brand. But when your own teammates feel like the star has too much power, that is a problem. What makes Trae so good is how hard-headed he is. Dude that's been undersized, overlooked his whole life, makes it to the NBA, becomes an all-star. When he makes the playoffs, embarrasses the Knicks on their home court and takes a bow, totally unafraid of the haters. But that stubbornness is also a problem. The NBA has a history of really talented but diva players who are coach killers. Boogie Cousins once tweeted a snake in the grass emoji directed at his coach. He got fired. And franchise players can do this because they have all the power in the organization. The team's always going to choose the star player over the coach. Trae is making over $200 million. He is on billboards across Atlanta. He knows that, and he uses that power to show up his coach. But the best leaders don't use their power like that. Stephen Curry, Tim Duncan allow themselves to get yelled at without taking it personally. But when Trae chooses to not show up at a game, it's because he doesn't respect his coach. So I think Nate McMillan will get fired before his contract is up. Then Trae will get to handpick his next coach. And if he still has these issues, then I think it is fair to call him a childish diva. But for now, his biggest fans can, I guess, make the case that it's all a big misunderstanding. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Check out the brand new merch store. It's right below this video. And check out why the 2020 NBA draft was so bad. Some people call it one of the worst drafts in NBA history. Tyrese Halliburton, probably the best guy in the draft, ended up going all the way down at number 12. James Wiseman looks like a bust. So I looked at the entire draft, why there were so many mistakes, and then did a redraft at the end. Check it out.